With increasing outdoor freedom, people have been coming up with more extreme content to share on the internet. For example, have a look at this from the guys at Vehicle Virgins. The idea was to compare two super-fast sports vehicles and an aerobatic aircraft in a drag race. They chose an Extra 330, a Lamborghini Hurricane Evo with almost 700 horsepower, and the slower Ferrari 812. Who came out on top? Well, it doesn't really matter. It's just all about good fun on a public road. And now, I'm just wondering if it's actually legal. Maybe don't try this at home, guys. Let's stay with safer forms of flight and air sports competition. We've got all the stories from the last 7 days. I'm Regan Tetlow, and this is Air Sports News. The 6th Open Paramotor Slalom Polish Championship has just ended in Jurocin, Poland. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was the first big slalom event in the world this year, and because of that, it felt like a mini World Championships. 38 athletes competed in qualification flights over the Jurocin Lake. They have flown 22 tasks and made a total of 800 flights. The aggression of the pilots brought a few incidents, but since the slalom competition was moved from land to water, pilots emerged from crashes unscathed.
Wiecznie dosyć turbulentnie. Ja miałem tą łatwiejszą sytuację, że leciałem jako drugi i widziałem, jakie błędy kolega popełnił. Dlatego wystarczyło to dobrze przelecieć dość szybko i mamy mistrza Polski. Po raz drugi mistrz Polski, no piękna sprawa. Mam nadzieję, że za trzecim razem też się uda.
The best pilot of the competition was Alexandre Mateos from France, leaving no chance for other pilots in the overall classification. The competition received very good marks from observers and pilots for excellent organisation and a unique place for this type of event.
Pylony, czyli te wieże, są postawione od linii brzegowej około 100 metrów, co pozwala na pokazanie świetnego widowiska, co pozwala ludziom zobaczyć z bliska, co się dzieje, jak się dzieje.
Air Sports Promotion produced daily reports during this event. You can find them all on our Facebook page. We also have a new Polish champion in sailplane open class. A few days ago, almost 30 pilots finished their flights over the Leszno airfield during the 45th Polish Sailplane Championships. As well as many Polish pilots, there were also some athletes from Great Britain, Lithuania, Austria and Germany. The most amazing fact is that the new Polish champion, Łukasz Wojcik, didn't win any of the 5 tasks during the event. However, he was the most even flying pilot amongst the competitors. The second place goes to Thomas Dull and the third to Janusz Jenka. A brave base jumper from the UK has become the first person ever to fly a wingsuit from the top of a British mountain. 31-year-old former Royal Marine Tim Howell launched from the 4,000-foot peak of Antillac in the Northwest Highlands in Scotland. He flew down a steep gully for 30 seconds before deploying his parachute and landing safely on the banks of the Loch Toll and Lochain. So what does it take for an elite base jumper to break boundaries and open new locations in the sport? I spoke with Tim Howell to find out.
Tim, this first wingsuit base jump in the UK, massive congratulations for that.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It was quite a few years in the making, so I'm glad to finally have it done, really. Like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I started making a guide for the UK base jumps, all legal cliffs in the UK. And we went from about 30 to, I think we're on like 170 different cliffs to base jump in the UK now. And obviously, like as we started to develop all these new cliffs, there's a lot more that can be done. Things like the first ski base that I did a few years ago. You know, there's really special jumps where you can land on frozen lakes and all sorts. So obviously that leads to, you know, is it possible to get the first wingsuit base jump? You know, we've got some super low cliffs. We've actually got some really big terminal cliffs. But yeah, is it possible?
Where did your base jumping story begin?
When I started climbing big walls, I've been climbing for a lot longer than I've been base jumping, but I've always seen base jump as the places that I've climbed, like Tonsai in Thailand and Monte Brento in Italy. So yeah, as soon as I had the enough skydives and I learned how to base jump, then that's where my progression took me. Just yeah, jumping off these cliffs that I used to climb.
Did you learn to skydive specifically to go base jumping?
I did, yeah. And I think now that's probably not frowned upon as much as it was when I was doing it. And obviously even before I was, you know, the generation before, it was like, you're not allowed to at all. But when I was learning to skydive, I definitely wouldn't really mention it, especially not on my AFF. But I know people go now just saying, I want to do my AFF because in 200 jumps, I want to do a course. Like that's perfectly acceptable now. It's definitely changing.
The full-length interview with Tim is waiting for you on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check and subscribe. The coronavirus pandemic still restricts some aviation activity in the parachuting world, although staying on the ground gives an opportunity to analyse errors in the air that could have ended tragically so as to avoid them in the future. Join the Team features some of the best skydiving and base jumping videos on the planet, and the latest video from Russia is a perfect example of how skydivers can learn from other jumpers' errors. During a belly jump with an unknown number of people, one jumper who made it into the formation went to pull after not tracking. Another individual who went low and also didn't track deployed whilst underneath the rest of the group. The first jumper fell through the second jumper's canopy, blowing out a few cells and requiring a cutaway. Poor tracking and inadequate level control can and does kill. Fortunately, there are more and more great events around the world to teach these skills in a managed and controlled environment. At the peak of formation skydiving competition in the 8-way category, one team has reigned supreme, the Golden Knights. I spoke with former team member Matt Davison about his incredible career in the world of skydiving.
You're a skydiver, you're an Army veteran, you're a 5 times world champion, you're a cartoonist, look at this, I'm not using my notes, you're a DJ producer, you're an athlete, is that everything? Let's have a look at my notes. I think a writer as well, and a podcast producer with your The Champion's Journey.
Yes.
So you've got a lot going on. If you meet somebody and they say, what do you do for a living? What do you say?
Primarily, I'd say that I'm a skydiver. I focus on the 8-way and 4-way formation skydiving competitions. And so that, yeah, I usually leave it at that, so I'm not too long-winded about myself.
My biggest memory is at the World Air Games in 2015 with that new world record you set for 8-way. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Oh, it was a great experience. You know, just the views of jumping over Dubai were just incredible, and being able to get a world record there in that environment, in that arena, was just incredible. That team at that time, we had had the core of the team together for almost 10 years at that point. So it was a well-oiled machine then. So yeah, just a lot of things were coming together, and it was a great cap off to that lineup and that team.
There's been a lot of championships, the world championships as well, a lot of medals you must have in your cabinet. Is the one win that springs to mind as being the one that you think about more than others?
There is, and that was the 2012 World Championships, the Mondial there at Skydive Dubai. Because we're in the Army at the time, we didn't have permanent slots to where you could keep competitors for a long time. So we were trading out people every 2 to 4 years. So that kind of inhibited our progress a bit. But also, you know, we just had several other challenges throughout the year. So finally, we were able to, after a stretch of 10 to 15 years, we're finally able to win a World Championships again and have a program within our team that we felt like we could build on and continue to win with it.
It was a very long and very interesting interview, so if you want to learn more from Matt, go and visit our YouTube channel right after the show. Do you remember the unique shots from the Balloon Miracle Fiesta over Warsaw, the capital of Poland, we showed you last week? Well, during this event, our host, Ola Kutz, could not resist a flight with one of the most successful young generation Polish balloonists. Take a look.
Mateusz, kiedy ty zacząłeś? Kiedy się zakochałeś w balonach?
No już ponad 10 lat temu. Już od ponad 10 lat mam licencję, zacząłem jeździć trochę wcześniej, tu jeszcze z ojcem, który też jest pilotem. I dość szybko się można zarazić i złapać tego bakcyla i już tu po prostu zostać.
No, zostać w balonie. Stąd się w zasadzie nie chce wysiadać, co? Nie. No jak jesteś na ziemi, to tęsknisz bardzo za lataniem?
Jeżeli za długo jesteśmy na ziemi, to tak. Bywa tak, że latamy tyle, że tęsknimy czasem za ziemią, ale koniec końcu zawsze robi się wyjątkowo smutno, gdy 2 tygodnie leje, nie można polatać. Balonami na ogrzane powietrze to się raczej często nie zdarza, żeby te balony latały nad faktycznie centrum Warszawy, ale na to wydarzenie udało się załatwić odpowiednie zgody i dzięki temu latamy tu po pięknej okolicy wśród bloków, wieżowców, ale też mnóstwa zieleni.
Właśnie, Warszawa jest, prawda, zielona?
Zielona.
Potwierdzasz.
Tak, wbrew powszechnej opinii ludzi z prowincji Warszawa jest bardzo zielona.
Labelled as a disruptive design, Hill Helicopters announced its HX50 rotorcraft, which features a decidedly sleek exterior, 3-blade composite main rotor and Frenison-style ducted tail rotor. Take a look, it looks just gorgeous. The helicopter industry has long awaited an Elon Musk-style disruption that redefines the modern helicopter. The wait is over, says Dr. Jason Hill, CEO of Hill Helicopters. The company says that the HX50 is the world's first truly private luxury helicopter, crafted to deliver a whole new experience in safety and elegance. We're waiting for the prototype. Let's move back to the sailplane competition once more, because we have a fresh report from the pre-World Gliding Championships event in Manloucan, France. Pilots managed to make 6 flights in total despite the bad weather in the first week of individual trainings. It helped them to know the flight conditions there before next year's World Championships in the club, 15-metre and standard classes. Merrick Morale from France won in the standard class. In the club class, the fastest pilot was Stefan Langer from Germany. Russian cosmonaut Ivan Wagner, whilst aboard the International Space Station, tweeted a time-lapse video that captures the aurora over Antarctica. In addition to the northern lights, one can see 5 unidentified luminous objects in the video. Judging by the video, the objects were moving in a parallel course. The cosmonaut could not identify their nature. He specified that the frames for the time-lapse video were shot at a rate of 1 per second. Thus, in reality, the unidentified objects were visible for almost a minute. The information about the objects was transferred to the Russian Federal Space Agency for analysis. So what do you think about those images? Let me know. But now it's time for our Hero of the Week. During the middle of August 1932, over an 8-day period, Iris Felden and Francis Marcellus flew a Curtiss Thrush J over the Curtiss Airport at Valley Steam, New York. Their flight set a FAI world record for duration of 196 hours and 5 minutes. The pair took off in the early afternoon on the 14th of August and did not land until Monday, the 22nd of August. Their flight was supported by air-to-air refueling Curtiss Robin, flown by Stuart Rees, and John Runger acted as the tanker. 78 in-flight refuelings were required to keep the Thrush airborne. On the 23rd of August 1954, the C-130 Hercules made its first flight. Until today, it is probably one of the most popular and recognizable transport aircraft in the world. More than 2,500 Hercules aircraft are still flying for military and civil purposes in such exotic countries as Bangladesh, Chad, Zambia and Sri Lanka. On the 24th of August 1961, Jacqueline Cochran flew a Northrop Talon aircraft to an average speed of 1,358 kilometers per hour over a straight 15 to 25 kilometer course, setting an FAI world speed record for women. Jackie Cochran's record-setting T-38 is in the collection of the Smithsonian Institute National Air and Space Museum. On the 24th of August 1962, Mary Webber was born. She is an American executive, scientist, aviator, speaker, and former NASA astronaut. During 2 space shuttle missions, she spent more than 18 days in space. On the 25th of August 1959, Yves Rossi was born. He is a former military pilot, the first man to fly over the English Channel with wings of his own design attached to his body, and the inventor of the Jetman system. Later, he made many more stunt flights with his friends, for example, flying in formation with the biggest passenger aircraft in the world, the Airbus A380. That's all for today, guys. I'm staying where I am, but if you want to meet our Air Sports promotion team, visit Leszno in Poland on Friday and Saturday. The Antidote Air Show will take place there with amazing nighttime pyro displays included. I'm so jealous to be missing out. So anyway, I'll see you next week, and as always, stay safe and keep your eyes on the skies. Russian cosmonaut Ivan Wagner, whilst aboard the international... Russian cosmonaut Ivan Wagner aboard the international... Russian cosmonaut Ivan... Oh, come on. Russian cosmonaut Ivan... Oh. Season 2 done, guys. Congratulations.